Welcome to Audiogyan with Kedar Nimkar, a podcast that documents insightful conversations with Indian designers, artists, musicians, writers, thinkers, and creatives of all types. Catch us on iTunes or visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. Here's your host, Kedar Nimkar.
Today I have Shrikant Nivsarkar with us on Audiogyan. Shrikant is a principal architect of design consultancy organization Nivasarkar Consultants, established in Pune in 1978. He has been overseeing the growth and the practice from small and medium-scale residential designs to large-scale commercial, institutional and industrial projects. Apart from his extensive career spanning more than 3 decades, Shrikant is associated with various educational and professional associations in different capacities. Thank you, Shrikant sir, for giving us your time, and it's a real honor to have you on Audiogyan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. So as we spoke earlier as well, I would like to talk to you about furniture design in India. And actually, I've come up with few questions, but I'll leave it up to you how you want to navigate the overall conversation. But just to set the ball rolling, like you've played with wood as a material for many years. So considering that, can you tell us how has wood as a material shaped the Indian furniture design market or industry or the design space overall?
Actually, to look into this question in isolation would not be a proper thing, because there are various materials with which people have played. And it needs to be understood in a larger context.
Okay.
So first of all, when we are talking particularly about furniture design as a subject, I consider this as part of the overall design subject. And in that context, I think we need to understand the role and position of design and for whom we are talking about.
Okay.
So the moment we talk about design, not as a point which needs to be positioned in the highest level, we realize that it plays a supportive role for the human being, actually. So the role of design is to support human being. So what do we mean by support to human being? Means it's a support to the user, that is. So user is a human being.
Correct.
Okay. And when we say user is a human being, why does he use design? We have to understand that. And when we say he uses design, it is obviously for doing something he wants to use design as a facility. So design plays a supportive role. But then what is the objective of human being? That also needs to be understood. Why does he wants to use various facilities, design, some equipments, some technologies and all those things?
Correct.
So what is the purpose of all these things? So what is the main purpose of human life? That needs to be understood. And in that context, if you see a life of human being, between the birth and death, which are beyond our control, everything is in our hand. Okay, and everything in our hand, when we say, so we have to understand then what do we want to do. So there you need to understand the nature of human life, which is dynamic in its form. One is never comfortable with static format of life.
Correct.
You always want to go from wherever you are to the next level.
Correct.
I won't say higher level or something. It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
So that dynamism of life is something which is very important. And to support that dynamism, all the equipments, facilities, furniture,
tools,
products, everything makes its position. Now, when you are doing this, you have to understand that human life is, when we are talking about dynamism, that means there are 2 factors which one is talking about.
Okay.
The dynamics happen because of some inherent nature of human mind, human life, which is aspiration. So one is always aspiring to do something, and that is called dynamism. And that aspiration he draws by inspiration through things which are happening around, sometime from nature, sometime from somebody else.
Yeah. Overall surroundings.
So these are the relationship which you see, But ultimately, what is he trying to do? He is trying to create a sense of fulfillment, sense of happiness, So that's the purpose of life. You do work, you do music, you do anything else, but ultimately you want to achieve a sense of happiness.
Correct.
Okay. Now this you are talking about as far as an individual is concerned. But human being is never happy in isolation. He is always happy with the company.
Correct.
Okay. So I cannot be happy at the cost of putting somebody into trouble, putting you into trouble. So the responsibility of human being is to ensure to have the happiness for individual as well as collective happiness. And that's the purpose of our working, purpose of life. You do through your work. Now in that sense, design plays a very important role. Because design has the capability of, now when we are talking about human being, there are two aspects of human being, body and mind. Body is the physical part and mind is the emotional part. So when you are talking about the happiness, I am sitting on this chair and my body is comfortable. So it's actually taking the technology-driven approach of creating a sense of comfort which leads to sense of happiness.
These are very subtle things actually.
Yes, but they are very important. But if my mind is not happy,
correct.
So my body is also not happy.
Correct.
Now that happiness of mind is related to the aesthetic aspect, cultural aspect, social aspect, because that's where actually individual sense of aesthetics is developed. There are cultural ethos, there are certain beliefs, there are certain practices, there are certain rituals, all those things put together, music even. So that is where the relationship of body and mind and collective happiness of individual and collective happiness of body and mind also. And that is where the design plays a very important role.
Beautiful.
So somebody is happy with this kind of a chair. But it is very impersonal to me because the way I am brought up, I have very close relation with different kind of materials, different kind of practices, different kind of beliefs. So I am not happy with that. But that doesn't mean that you are wrong. Everybody's interpretation of their own experience is a true experience. And that needs to be ensured through design exercise. So the appropriateness of use of aesthetic ingredients, technology, materials, that plays a very important role in creating a combination of all these things and giving something as a package.
But that doesn't mean, so will that mean that there's no bad design as such?
No, see the thing is, bad design, either it doesn't complement the fundamental, it doesn't cater to fundamental compliance.
Okay.
It's a different way of looking at aesthetics. If you see the various kind of design exercises done in furniture design, particularly I am restricting it, there are numerous exercises. There are books like 1,000 Chairs and there are books like Global Design and all those things, But today also there are situations where the European designs are imported.
Correct.
And they are very beautifully made, high price, with different kind of materials they are made.
Correct.
But people feel uncomfortable with that. Because culturally it is not connecting. So it is not bad, but it is not appropriate.
Wow. Correct. Correct.
Now coming back to your question of wood. So the whole development started happening right from prehistoric age. The only materials which were available for human exploration were the natural materials. So there was earth, there were trees around us, forests.
Correct.
And they were the easiest materials available. So they were explored, and then in that exploration people found that the natural grains and the sensual qualities of wood, they are very deeply linked emotionally to human being.
Okay.
And that's where people, in spite of having so many restrictions, so many issues about irrational cutting of trees and all those things, people are still wanting to use wood. Because when you are talking about, in comparison with wood, you are talking about other options which are available. Essentially steel, plastic, aluminium, glass.
Correct.
They are, in that sense, the sensual quality of those material is not as deeper as wood has. You know? And there are numerous ways of using them to bring those qualities in a forefront, which connects deeply to the emotional needs of a human being. Okay. So when we are talking about human comfort, so one is body comfort and mind comfort, one could achieve through wood.
No, but in terms of just deep diving further there, does wood have a particular characteristic, or is it just the bonding between humans and forest which has built over time, or it really as a substance or as a material has some sort of absorbing qualities, some sort of warmth to it? Can you just tell us more about it, like about you handling wood in general, because you understand the nuances of it as well?
You cannot consider me as an expert on wood, first of all. So if you want to have a debate on wood, you have to talk to some scientist who has worked deeply in wood. But at the same time, on the aesthetic factor, I can tell you that suppose you see the see steel, aluminium, and it is one monologue. The finish, the quality, the texture, everything is static.
Correct.
Whereas wood, every section of wood has a different kind of grains and different kind of a feel.
Patterns.
You know, so that dynamism in the same material, every time you are actually, for yourself also, you are finding something new, you know, and which respond very deeply to your sensual quality, sensual requirement.
Yeah, beautiful. Sir, I wanted to ask you slightly a non-design question, but you can again feel free to take your stand on it. I just wanted to understand what is the scale at which things are working in India in terms of furniture design, and can you explain the state of overall, say if you can share some numbers as to what percentage of furniture is designed in India, and how much is not exactly in terms of numbers, but say 70% of India still uses, which is homegrown, which is made of either bamboo, which we spoke about before, or from the forests, or the wood which is grown in India itself, as opposed to importing from, say, Scandinavian furniture or any other European furniture?
See, numbers, if you want to understand, it's a very complex situation. First of all, furniture was never a part of Indian lifestyle.
Oh,
so
okay.
Furniture, if you see our traditional ways of continuing our life, furniture was the last item in our list, you know. So it was beyond basics, first of all. So
that's something
food,
really
food,
new to
shelter, and clothing, in that order, they were our priorities. And Indian lifestyle in itself was a very frugal lifestyle. If you see, even the rich people used to be very judicious in using their resources, first of all. We always had very deep concern about environment and surrounding us. It's only in the recent past, because of this sudden opening of economy, global invasion and all those things. Invasion means the technology invasion and availability of information. We see the current complex situation. But it's also, over a period of time, the younger generation is becoming more global. Their aspiration level is different, their demands are different, their lifestyle is different, and furniture does play an important role in their day-to-day life. So, from being not part of so important, it has become an important requirement in your current lifestyle.
Correct. Like a need in your daily life.
It is. There is still difference between the rural and urban, but still largely for the urban population, this is one of the requirements. Now, if you see the kind of prediction which the World Bank has made, so they are predicting that the current demand of furniture in India is almost 2 lakh crore rupees. I'm not sure whether I am in a position. It's around $36 billion. That's the current demand. So conversion you can do, but that is a prediction. Now, if you see the people who are in an organized sector, who are involved in making furniture, it is not even 10,000 crore rupees. So there is a huge gap between this. Now, when I am talking about this kind of a size of a market, 65% of that is focused for the residential furniture, and 35% for the other segment, that's commercial, institutional, hospitality, retail, and all those things. Now, when we all studied furniture design, the most important issue which we used to debate is how to achieve the timelessness character in the design itself. Because timelessness is not only from the viewpoint of production, which ensures the good technology,
but from a design.
But the aesthetic essence also.
Correct.
Which continues. There are certain designers like Charles Eames and Nakashima and all those people. They have worked 70 years back on the designs which are still in demand.
Yeah.
So that is a character of timelessness.
Dieter Rams.
Yeah. And that is what is most important. What is happening with the current change, furniture being part as with the timelessness character is getting into commodity mode. So that commoditization of furniture is most dangerous that way, because it conflicts with all the larger issues of the world. Appropriate and judicious use of raw material, which is the fundamental criteria. Waste of energy, another criteria. Waste of resources,
correct,
another criteria, and which is not in the interest of sustenance of the whole human race, I would say.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
So, according to me, this is a main issue. Now, if you see the number of institutes which are offering this furniture design program, they are very few. But NID is one of the main institutes which has initiated this program. And in last 40 years, according to me, there must have been about 500 graduates who have graduated in specializing furniture design. Now, furniture design, although it is considered as a part of product design on one side,
Correct.
deliberately it has been given a separate slot in the academics. Because product design, if you see, for example, design of a refrigerator, design of let's say television or automobile,
Correct.
it still doesn't have that human connection, deeper human connection. But furniture does have, and that's where the understanding of human behavior, humanity angle, social sciences, they are very important. And these are the factors which actually gives you the ability to deal with the evolving the timelessness character and emotional connect with the individual. Now there is a tussle between design and technology. Technology is always wanting to have something which will have a limited life.
Correct.
Because they want to come out with the new design
technology.
and create a new market all the time, which is against the very deeper thinking of designers. Designers on one side are looking for something, creating something
Longevity.
which will have much better longevity.
Yeah.
And these are the issues, but these issues designers need to solve. Now, unfortunately, in furniture design, because of a very diverse country in which we are living, at least in Indian market, if you are seeing, the available resources in terms of material as well as in manpower, they are scattered across the country.
Correct.
And furniture design is one thing, in spite of having such a big market, which has the ability to cater to the smaller community with their specific needs.
Correct.
Without going into a mass scale manufacturing. And that is the reason in India, so far, we have not been able to have the large players getting involved into production driven furniture. It is possible for offices, means that 35% which I am talking about. There it is possible because there the requirements are different. In the office, still, even in the office also to a certain extent, people would like to say that's my pace. That's where I sit. So you connect individually to that, and you want to, even if you are given the same modular furniture, you want to have some kind of a presence through your own intervention.
Correct.
Either by putting some photograph, either by giving some different kind of character.
Correct.
To that.
Yeah. Customize it to bring in your own character.
Important.
Yeah.
And that is not working in the interest of large scale production. And that's the reason why in India we don't see, at least for the time being, large players getting involved into this. But that also...
Yeah, so that was another question which I had, but since you mentioned about NID, just to add to that, from my understanding, interior design or furniture design in general is not, and this also we spoke with Praveen Singh sir as well, that it doesn't look like a very organized market across India. So is it because of the technology intervention? Is it because of less furniture design graduates? Is it because the wood market itself or the material market itself is not organized? Someone like IKEA coming in, all of us will get little worried of the local market, right? So how does that work? What is the reason why it is not organized?
See, when we are talking about this, I'm not an expert in marketing, but when we are talking about the larger segment of market, what are their needs, if you see. So they do want to have reasonably good looking products and elements into their day-to-day life, And IKEA has played a very important role in giving the minimum level requirement, aesthetic requirement through their products. But there is a problem with that, because if 4 of us sitting in the same building and 4 of us have the same furniture, then it conflicts with our individual interests.
Correct.
So we do want to have the customization. And even if IKEA comes, IKEA has globally gone to different places, but they have ensured they are catering to the local needs.
Correct.
By inducing local flavor. It is more complex for them in India, because India itself is a globe in that sense. So we have very diverse communities, diverse requirement, and they need to cater with us. So it's a wait and watch thing. Let's see. But I don't think, because the number is so large, so even if they are in position to cater to 15% of that or 10% of that, it satisfies them.
Correct.
So they will be successful in that sense. But as a commercial angle, if you see, they will be successful.
Correct. Commercially, Cool. I mean, this is slightly this could be a naive question, but again, coming back to design and wood in general, like, can you tell us something about, like, what is the chemistry between wood and human beings in detail?
I think emotional connect is the most important element, which is very difficult to when I am talking about the comfort level and when I am talking about the physical comfort level, is a tangible science which gives you the calculation, which gives you the measurements, and you cater to that, it is achieved. But when we are talking about the intangible element of mind, so that is something which is scientifically it is very difficult to achieve. So it's a lifelong exploration, and because there is the kind of beauty which every time if I am working, let's say, on wood, so every time when I am using wood, there is a different kind of a grain, different kind of a color, and this is a new finding for me. So when I am exploring that, it's a new. So every time there is some amount of research element going into it. So there is no short guarantee, But wood grains, wood color, that has a closer relationship with internally with human mind. So I'm not sure whether I have been able to give correct answer to that.
No, in fact, I what I'm sensing is that I should come and visit your studio and do much more in-depth research in the products you have built so far, and then maybe get into the nuances. That, for example, is again, this could be a naive question, but is wood more ergonomic in nature when is it I mean, if we have to consider ergonomics as an important part while designing a furniture piece, is wood more friendlier in terms of production, in terms of design, in terms of manufacturing?
See, in terms of production, every material has its own guidelines to work. So you need to understand. Even to work with steel is also, although it may appear very easy, it's not that easy. Because if you want to bring in the best of that material, then you need to understand that material emotionally also. So in that sense, every material has its own advantages and disadvantages. It's only that wood has versatility in terms of working. There are more different possibilities of evolving different forms
Mm-hmm.
without much of a high-tech machinery and so that way it is comparatively more simpler material,
Mm-hmm.
and easily available.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why wood. And of course, if a lot of debate has been going on whether we should use wood or not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see the plantation wood process,
Mm-hmm.
then it is the most positive way of sustaining the nature and environment.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, wood is a material which probably the most appropriate material for supporting the cause of environment, sustainability, and even the climatic issues, all those things. So it's more greener than any other material.
Yeah.
And about the emotional, the content-wise, when I'm talking about the tangible factors which can be learned through engineering, an intangible factor which is very difficult to achieve,
Correct.
as I told you. If you see the relationship of profession to academics, we say that in the academics we learn the fundamentals of design, especially in design education. But it's even in the academics, it is very difficult to teach everything what is required to be taught.
Correct.
Probably.
Correct.
So a lot of things have to be left to individual for self-learning. And design is one subject where self-learning is a very important factor.
Correct.
And so the process needs to ensure that on one side we have divided this subject into 4 verticals, that is aesthetic, technology, skills and humanity. So which aesthetics takes care of the basic learning on colors, textures, compositions and all those things. Technology teaches you about the material and the technology, how it could be used.
Yeah.
Skills about your ability to explain and ability to think also. It's skills of 2 types. One is when I'm drawing something, I show you and you understand. That is one skill. And other is how to think. That's also very important. And the 4th is humanity, which is most difficult and intangible part of learning. So institutes generally in its academic content, they are in a position to cover these first 3 aspects. And the intangible aspect has to be left for the refining to the individual.
Correct.
So I was reading one book in which it is said, he is familiar with that, there are at any given time, human brain has a capacity to register 11 million pieces of information.
Oh, acha.
But the most generous estimate has proved that you can rationalize maximum 40 of them.
40. Okay.
So does that mean that we are talking about the limitation of human brain? And that whatever is rational as per our own definition is only the knowledge and others is not. So it's not so. Actually, the tangibility is established through those 40 items. But intangible aspect, which needs to be explored and learned and experienced by an individual,
Correct.
it has to be done in the rest of his life.
Wow.
And that's the way the whole design works. Same is about any other field of creativity,
Correct.
I would say.
Yeah. So can you tell us what are the different perspective or aspects while designing a piece of furniture? Say, for example, what input from a designer changes if the designing is for a dining chair as opposed to a lounge chair or something like that in your any particular instance?
See, we have to understand that now we are talking about furniture. We are talking about again the role it needs to perform for a particular activity. You know, and human activity, if we see, they are divided into two activity. One is leisure, and one is work. So it is between work and leisure. So when we are talking about work, when you are dining, it is essentially work of dining. Okay, so it is supporting a particular cause. So you have to understand that what goes on when you are actually eating in your body.
Wow.
And if you have any design which is supportive to the fundamental internal activities of your digestion and all those things, then only that works well. That is as far as the technology is technical aspect is concerned. But then how to complement that visually also is equally important. So when you are having a relationship with the space on one side, when you are talking about small one-bedroom apartment, and here you want to have a dining table and chairs, then it needs to take into account the space available.
Correct.
And of course the lifestyle of those people also, you know. So chairs, when you are saying that I am sitting on my chair, so it has certain character, you know. And so on one side it is giving the character of a person for the activity, on the other side giving the character, the context to the space, you know. Tomorrow if you are going to have a large space where you are going to have, let's say, the Prime Minister is coming. Now, where do you want to position the Prime Minister's chair, and how do we say that this is different than the other chair? So you need to give the visual character to complement the position of that user. You know, that's where the aesthetic plays a very important role. Now, to give this aesthetic flavor, there are certain beliefs, certain practices which actually develops your own perception. You know, with you have a particular shape and form and material that gives the positioning of that particular person. You know, so maybe you have a high back, maybe you have some kind of a more relaxed posture and all those factors. And that's why for every chair is particularly more important, because chair is either supporting the every time it is supporting the work first of all, you know, but it is mixed with the leisure also, you know. So it's a mix of leisure and work, and it is every time the so when I am sitting for dining, I know that within half an hour or 1 hour I will be finishing my activity. But when I want to listen to the music and relax for some time, so maybe for 3 hours I want to sit and listen to the music. And that time that chair has to give that kind of a comfort level, and even the design itself, the aesthetic itself should give you a feeling that it is going to give me that comfort for 3 hours. You know?
Correct.
That's where it changes the visual flavor depending on the activity.
So basically, first comes the user as given. The second is the other
activity.
Second is So I was just considering the baselines to be fixed, like user, and then ergonomics of it and things like that, and then to bring in character to different material, different objects, you can bring in the user again back.
Yes.
Sir, I've realized I think I should do more research and do another GAN session. But just to conclude, one last question, which is in your last 30-40 years doing furniture design, what would be your 2 or 3 or maybe one key takeaway learnings which we can look up to and see if we can imbibe that in our lives?
I think first of all, designer has to keep himself away from putting himself on the pedestal. Because I think design is at the backdrop, and human life is more important. and to play a supportive role to the human life through your design intervention is a necessity, and not to get recognition by the society by putting you on the pedestal. So that's where actually it is very important. Design is not an element which needs to be induced from outside. Design-led thinking is the main important aspect.
Which is inherent.
Now, so that brings us back to at what level one needs to start
thinking about.
There are various institutes after 12th, they start these design programs. But if you understand, every human being has a design ability right from their childhood. And which is actually through the current system of education, we are successful in cutting that off. So which needs to be nurtured. So that means design thinking should become a part of our living lifestyle. For the finer issues, a professional designer is important and he will play his role. But to create a design-led society, design-led thinking society, which will also have a better ability to bind the various communities socially, and avoid all those conflicts which are happening within different communities.
Correct. It also helps to improve our own sensibilities also towards design and get sensitive to what is good and what is bad, or at least what is comfortable and what is not.
See, appropriateness is the right word, I would say.
Appropriate. Cool. I think this is a good note to end this. Obviously, I'll do more research. I'll definitely visit the place where you have been designing these beautiful objects, and hope to get you again on Audiogyan sometime down the line to have much more interesting conversation. So thank you, sir. Once again.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you. That's it. That was Shrikant Nivsarkar with us, and it was wonderful talking to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it from today's Gyan session. Catch us on iTunes, Saavn, Stitcher or any podcasting app you use. Do rate us on iTunes and follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Stay tuned for more Gyan on audiogyan.com. Till then, bye.